In this series, I am Erick Messias. I'm a professor of psychiatry at the University of Arkansas for Medical Science in the United States. And in this series on positive mental health around the world, we are going to talk to people practicing positive mental health, be there positive psychiatry, positive psychology, or positive psychotherapy, and understand how they are dealing with the times of the pandemic.
Well, my name is Hamid Peseschkian. I'm a psychiatrist and psychotherapist in Wiesbaden, Germany. And we are very happy to welcome today our guest, Ms. Polina Efromova from Moscow in Russia. Welcome, Polina. You are a psychologist and psychotherapist and the director of the Moscow Center of Positive Psychotherapy.
Hello, Eric. Hello, Hamid. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, everything is correct. I'm a practicing psychotherapist and the director of Moscow Center.
Great. It's good to see you again and to see you both. Now, Polina, how is the situation of the pandemic in Russia for you personally, and how have you adapted as a mental health professional?
Well, if we talk about the situation, the numbers have started growing very fast during the last 2 weeks. We've started a bit later than the other countries. If you follow the numbers, you can notice it that now Russia is going higher and higher in numbers. So actually, we started preparing for that in the beginning of March, but it was quite slow in the beginning. And during the last weeks of April, it started growing very fast. While the numbers are increasing, we don't have the official emergency situation in the country. So some countries announce the emergency. Our country announces a lot of recommendations, but we don't have the official emergency situation. That means that we have some control instruments like QR codes and so on. We have some restrictions about businesses working and about going out, but we actually don't have some official laws for the whole country that regulate it. So each region makes something on their own, and that brings a lot of anxiety actually, because now the hospitals are full and the situation, as in many countries, is getting more difficult. Because of the specific of our country, we have a very strict hierarchical structure, and there are lots of restrictions. During the last years, there are becoming more of them. People react with mistrust and anxiety when other restrictions due to the pandemic are made, because people often react like, okay, this is the politics stuff, like there are just more restrictions and it doesn't anyhow cooperate with the pandemic. So people have a huge difficulty in following these recommendations and these restrictions. And because of that, that brings us more to how people react as they're used to react to the mentality of Russian people. And I think it's important to say a few words about that, because we have, the reputation of people who don't stay in the middle. We always have maximum and minimum, and everything is very extreme, all the specifics, all the behavior and so on. And there is always a lot about like braveness of Russian people. So even the president of our country said, like, guys, come on, everybody believes that you're brave, and we've met a lot of other viruses in the winter. Our winters are long and cold, but this is something special. So politics have to notice that and to emphasize that like you're not a coward if you're following the instructions. We have like two types of reaction in people. First one is about this, bravado and denial, and people are saying, I won't follow this, and this is just another virus. Like we have a lot of them every winter, it doesn't matter. So they don't fulfill most of the recommendations. The other people fall in deep into this expectation of difficult times. We have a lot of crises in our country, they follow one by one. So people are becoming very ready, they're becoming, you know, in some alert state, and they start buying everything and being very anxious, being very worried about the money, waiting for some maybe crime to rise and so on. So we have those who are in fear and those who are in denial, and when they meet on the streets it becomes a bit difficult, because in the shops some people don't want to think even about the distance, some people are becoming aggressive as someone is getting closer, so a lot of aggression.
Polina, one question. In many countries, the medical centers and offices are still open. How is it in Russia? Is psychotherapy considered as a medical profession, or do you have to close? How is it going on? Or you switch to video sessions, or what is the guideline?
Yeah. We have psychiatric help as a medical profession, but psychotherapy has a very you know, uneven state in Russia. We still don't have the official license to this kind of help, to psychological help, medical help, like not psychiatric help. So the hospitals who have psychologists, like clinical psychologists, are open, but the centers who have, for example, non-medical psychotherapeutic treatment are not in the medical sphere. So many of such centers, I believe most of such centers, are closed now for offline work and are all in the online work. So we start working with our clients online. We try to make the groups online, the supervisions, and so on. And actually, the whole organization, for example, in our center, the whole organization still works. We have the social cabinet where the people can get some free consultations, and the commercial work and the teaching, and it all works, but via Zoom, for example, most of the time.
So in terms of your experience as a mental health professional and a therapist, what things could you tell people that would help them through this time of the pandemic of COVID-19 in 2020?
I think there are several things which become important, and it's it could be explained with some instruments of positive psychotherapy. First, there are a lot of changes in daily routine. Actually, the spheres of our life, like the body sphere, the achievement sphere, the contact sphere, and the meaning sphere, are changing. And one of the things that should be really done is to follow these changes in every sphere and understand what's missing now. For example, okay, I can't walk anymore. What can I do to find some solution for body active style, for maybe some physical activeness? For example, okay, let it be some morning exercise. If we go into the achievement sphere, I think there are a lot of changes that people can't, for example, challenge themselves looking at the other people. They're here at home with their own work. It's not a lot to be compared. So a lot of meanings for the people which was about achievement actually goes down, doesn't matter so much anymore. And what we can do for people is to follow which needs, which emotional needs are behind this daily routine, which is now impossible. If we talk about that, I think that there are three needs that are mostly damaged with the pandemic. There are many of them, but these ones are very severely damaged. It's trust towards the world, myself. I can't trust the world because when I go out, it could be dangerous there, because I don't know, I can see the virus, I can punch him in the eye, nothing is possible to do. So I have to somehow be afraid all the time or just ignore it all the time. So people can't understand how to build new relationship with such a world. And there is lack of trust towards myself, because, for example, I expect from me that I act in some stressful situations in one way, and we can see that many people act very differently now because they have too much anxiety, they can't control the level of stress. So maybe to work with trust, there are some very simple things that could be done. This is maybe important because I think that most of psychotherapy should not go deep now, and this going through some maybe old stories is not that important as helping to deal with this stress right now. And psychotherapists, I think, can be disappointed with things that help because they're too easy. It's very often just scheduling the day, to have some new routine when you know what you do when you have some regular time of eating, sleeping, working, when you have different zones to work and to rest and so on. It's finding some stable points, because not all things change. For example, I have my family and I can see them. I still love pancakes, and this is quite stable thing, for example. And people need to trust themselves about what could they do. So they have to plan, for example, the new free COVID time, like when the pandemic is still on. What can I do? What can we do with the family, with my friends? Maybe we can do some flash mobs in the internet. Maybe I can learn something. Or we can, and also we can plan the after COVID time. For example, like, okay, after that we go to that country, or okay, when it's all over I want to do this, because, for example, I don't know, climbing is not so easy at home if you don't have the special wall for that. The second need, which is really damaged, is ideal. As I already said, we really believe that we're people of one type, but when we face the really stressful situation, and this one is quite a stressful one, we see that people we know get to hospitals or get ill. We hear that some people die, and we also stay a lot with our families, much more than we usually do. The rhythm of life is very different, and we see each other like all the time, during the whole day, whole night, forever. During these weeks, like 24/7. So we have to detect our fantasies, which are not adequate to the reality about the family members, and talk about, the new norms for crisis time. I think this is very important. Like, we have the ideal of behavior and of being for the peaceful time, and there is some other norm, or are some other norms for these specific times. And maybe we could even sit down and discuss it with the family, like, okay, come on, usually you are very stable and you don't share a lot your emotions, but let's be true with each other. We're both very nervous, so let's have like 15 minutes when we share what we feel and say, like, oh my god, this is awful, we will all die, and then breathe out and feel better.
Polina, a question. Do you think that in Russia it's easier to deal with this pandemic because Russians and the whole history is used to many of this kind of events, crisis, and so on? Then, I mean, do you think it makes it easier, or what is your feeling? Or it depends on the different generations, what they have experienced up to now?
I think this depends, because from one part, I think people are not as shocked as people in other countries. Like, this is one more crisis, it's a bit different, and people are like, okay, another one. But it's very different from those we usually have. And because of that, it depends. I think that the people are dealing with it much better, because we're used like people under, I'd say 40 are used to spend a lot of time on the internet. Like I could say we spend a lot of time there. We can chat, we can learn. And so the younger people are, the more time they spend in the internet, they know a lot how to be there inside. So I think those who are like from 18 maybe and to 30, 35, maybe even 40 are coping with it easier. I see that the old people, they have huge difficulties with giving up their daily routine, because this going out to the shop, to the hospital, to sit in front of the house was something that fills their life and makes them feel better, feel active. So they have huge difficulties with that now. And the people of between like 40 and 60, I think they really split in this people who are ready to shut down themselves in the house, but they're very afraid, and those who say, okay, another crisis, who cares, we've lived through all of them, we'll live it through again, so they just don't care about anything.
Thank you, Polina. That was great. I think this was a fantastic example of a couple of things. One is the shared humanity that we have. When I hear what you're going through in Russia, and I know what Hamid is adjusting in Germany and what we're dealing in the United States, there's so much more. We have so much more in common than we have in difference across people and across societies. The second point is you shared with us some of your psychotherapy approaches that I think would help people by helping them adjust, by helping them organize their lives in this new time. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I hope you stay safe all the way in Russia.
Stay
Bye.
safe and thank you.
Sure.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Okay.